Alright, so I'm going to show you how to graph these piecewise functions if you're given an equation as opposed to those signs we've been doing, but just given only equations. Find that. Okay, so here's an example of what you're going to do today. There's going to be 6 of them that have 2 equations. So this would be one of them that has 2. It'll start off like this. Remember, piecewise just means there's pieces or several. So this one would be like -8. If x is less than -2. And the other piece will be -6 if x is greater than or equal to -2. And you'll notice the if part, that's going to be repetitive. You'll see the same numbers because when one finishes, the other one will start. So you'll know some patterns here. So these two here are going to be graphed on the y-axis, okay? And these here will be looked at on the x-axis. Yeah. Okay? So I'm going to give you a 3-step process to graph these. After a while, you will probably combine all the steps into one. But to start off, the 3-step process does work. Okay? So to first start, I'm going to just graph both of these. Y equals -8, y equals -6. Now these are going to be horizontal lines today. Nothing but horizontal lines, kind of like we've been dealing with. And then next week we're going to change it up and I'll start having diagonals and things like that. But we're going to keep it simple for now. So let's go to y equals -8. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's -6. -7, -8. So I'm just going to draw 2 horizontal lines all the way through -6 and -8. So go ahead and do that on your paper. Okay. And what we're going to end up doing is erasing part of the line. Because remember, it's only a piece of this. It's a piecewise function. So we'll just have to write out, well, where does it start and where does it stop? Zoomed in there so you can see it. Okay. There we go. Good. Okay. Next. We have, where does each line start and stop? So this one, the -8, it's going to start at -2 and it's going to be less than. So what the trick I'm going to have you guys do is anytime you have a less than, I'm going to have you fold it over to -2. So let me label these. So this is going to be 2, 4, 6, 8. This will be -2, -4, -6, and -8. Okay, so for a less than, I'm going to have you fold this over to x equals -2. So this is at 4, 3, 2, right, 1. This is 0, 1, -1, and then -2. So anytime you have a less than, okay, a less than or less than equal to, you're going to fold this over to the left. And it graphs to the left. And furthermore, when you have a greater than, it's going to be graphed as an open circle, and a greater than, or I'm sorry, less than or equal to will have a closed circle. So just looking at this whole thing, the one we're graphing right now is just strictly less than. So when I fold it over, and I'm going to go to -2, that's right here, I want to put an open circle here, and what I see, that's the part I'm going to keep. That's part of my answer. And what's underneath the fold is what you're going to erase and get rid of. So this is the only part of your answer, and everything else underneath is not. So we take that off, erase it out. So after a while, you won't need to do the whole line and then erase part of it, but at the beginning it is easier just to follow that process. So that's the part for -8. It's graphed at y equals -8. And then at -2 is where it actually starts. -2, and since it's less than, it goes to the left. So now we'll do the same thing for the -6, the second one. So graph -6 if x is greater than or equal to -2. So this has an equal to on it. So greater than, you're just going to use the other side. You're going to fold this over. All right, that's -5, -4, -3, and there's -2. So for greater than or equal to, okay, and this is going to go to the right. And this one, what you're graphing, is a greater than or equal to, so that's going to be a closed dot as opposed to an open. So I'm going to have a closed dot here, and what you see is your answer. This is the part that should be in your answer. So all that part stays, and everything underneath is what you want to get rid of. You can't see it, so get rid of it. That's all of this. All right, and that's the finished product, the finished graph. It looks very similar to what you guys have been doing the past few days. There's just only 2 of them instead of having like 6 of them. There's only 2. But we're starting with equations as opposed to the signs, so that's what's different. There's fewer to graph, but we have to use the equations instead of the signs. Okay? So that's one problem complete, and we'll do another one for practice, and then we'll do one that's on the actual homework page. Okay? So let's try another. I'm going to write it at the top this time. This one will be f of x. And let's do -1 if x is less than or equal to 1, and -3 if x is greater than 1. And again, you can see there's repetition on the x parts. You should see the same number. And usually one's going one direction, the other one's going the other direction. So there are some patterns to how these are written. Okay? So why don't you guys go ahead and graph -1 and -3, 2 horizontal lines. So this is 0, so -1. Draw a line through -1, it's -2, and that's -3. So draw 2 horizontal lines, one through -1, one through -3. Okay, so that's step 1. We got our 2 lines, and at some place they're going to stop and have an open or closed circle somewhere in there, and then we're going to erase. Okay. So far so good. Got your lines at -1 and -3. Okay, so to graph the first one, it's less than or equal to, so it's going to be a closed circle, and the less than, I'm going to use this side, so less than or equal to, less than or equal to, and I'm going to move it to +1. This is +1. So just set it down. That's at 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So at -1, I'm going to have and closed circle. Alright? And everything else I see on -1 stays, and everything underneath goes. Get rid of. So that all stays, and everything underneath here, I'm going to erase, take it off. There we go. And next, let's graph the x is greater than 1. So because it's greater than, right? Greater than, I'm going to use this side. And it's going to be an open circle at, again, +1. So that's an open circle, and everything you see will stay. And everything underneath, you're going to erase. And that's the final answer. So just like before, you'll notice that the jumps between the two graphs are straight up and down, either up or down. This one goes up, this one goes down, but it's vertically aligned. So you're never going to go sideways or diagonal to get from one dot to another. That's one way when you guys bring up the work and I'm checking it, I can tell right away something's wrong is if they don't jump straight up and down. They don't jump up or they don't jump down, and they're going like diagonal or they're missing something completely. Yeah, it's going to be incorrect. So look out for that. Now, it could go from a solid to a solid or open circle to open circle, or it doesn't matter which one it's jumping to, but it just has to jump vertically up or down, okay? All right, so you're going to keep this for this week and next week because you might need it to help you, especially on Monday, remember how to do this. So let's use this now to start number 1 on the homework.
The underline is the close, right?
Yeah, underline is the close, right? That's what you wrote on your paper. I don't have any right now. Okay? Okay, so step 1. Go ahead and graph -2 and +3. So remember, this is 0. So -2 is down here. +3, 1, 2, 3 is right here. So draw both lines. And -2. Okay, do that much. All right. Okay. Now, we want to graph less than -1. So, less than, remember, that was when you fold the right side, and since it's a less than, just a strictly less than, right? So that symbol is going to be an open circle. So we're going to graph, use the right-hand side and graph an open circle. Okay, so use the right-hand side, and we're looking at -2 right now. So we're going to go to -1. So there's 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, -1. Okay. And again, it's an open circle. And then everything you see is your graph. Everything underneath, you erase. Now we'll do the same thing for 3. 3 is greater than or equal to -1. So the greater than or equal to, we're going to use the left flap. Greater than or equal to is going to be a solid. So use the left flap and go to -1. Here's -3, -2, -1. And we have a solid dot. And what you see is your answer, and what's underneath is your graph. I mean, what's underneath is what you erase. Sorry. Okay. So that is your final answer. Okay. So you guys will go ahead and practice 1 through 6 on the front. Stop at 6 when you finish 6. On the back, you're going to have 3 of them, and I'll show you how to do 3. It's pretty close to what you did the past few days. Okay. All right. So go ahead and do that right now.